Hey, Every Baptist Churches, it's me, Travis, your church revitalization catalyst, and today's Thursday. It's the day after the craziness we saw in Washington, D.C., where rioters came in and broke into the Capitol building. And I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you. First of all, my initial reaction is just general sadness at the state and condition we now find ourselves in. We've had months of unrest, and I don't know that it's going to let up. It doesn't appear to be letting up in sight. Let me read to you a sermon. I've been reading this biography on Dr. Martin Lloyd-Jones. Don't know if you're very familiar with him. He is a minister who lived in England years ago, and he was pastoring back whenever the World War II was breaking out on the European theater. And here's what he says in talking about peace, because I know many people would just want peace to happen and want order and peace to be there. But we're in the middle of a crisis right now, right? Just like they were. Here's what he says. Thus I ask the question, had we a right to peace? Do we deserve peace? Were we justified in asking God to preserve peace and to grant peace? What if war has come because we were not fit for peace, because we did not deserve peace, because we, by our disobedience and godlessness and sinfulness, had so utterly abused the blessings of peace? Have we a right to expect God to preserve a state of peace merely to allow men and women to continue a life that is an insult to his holy name? I'm not sure if I'm going to get to preach this Sunday yet from this point when I'm making the video, because my wife just came back COVID positive. So appreciate you guys praying for me and Xander, and then also for my other family members as we're continuing to battle COVID at the Tyler household. But I woke up a couple days after Christmas and just had a terrible aches and chills and pains. And so I've been kind of quarantined up here. We have a house that's by the church that's set up, for folks who need to stay overnight. So I've been here for well over a week, trying to prevent my family from getting it, but unfortunately it looks like the efforts were in vain. So a couple of thoughts here on this. I had a dear friend that sent me a thing he was reading yesterday about all that's happening, and what we're seeing happening here is a collision of worldviews. And he sent me this little snippet about something called the Benedict option. And here's what it says. The Benedict option in politics begins with the recognition that Western society is post-Christian, and that absent a miracle, there is no hope of reversing the condition in the foreseeable future. This means in part that what Orthodox Christians, that's us, right, Bible-believing Christians, can accomplish through conventional politics has narrowed considerably. Most Americans will not only reject many things traditional Christians consider good, but will even call them evil, which I think we've been there for some time, at least the last decade and a half. Trying to reclaim our lost influence will be a waste of energy, or worse, if the financial and other resources that could have been dedicated to building alternative institutes for a long resistance were instead to making a doomed attempt to hold on to power. He goes on to say, instead, Christians must turn their attention to a different kind of politics. Part of the change we must make is accepting that in the years to come, faithful Christians may have to choose between being a good American and being a good Christian. In a nation where God and country are so intertwined, the idea that one's citizenship might be at radical odds with one's faith is a new one. And while it's new to us, it is not new to church history. We have seen throughout the ages that God's people have been at odds with the culture around them and with the politicians around them. I've been preparing this week in Luke chapter 3. And in Luke chapter 3, it opens with a description of those that were in political power at the day, and it was a corrupt hodgepodge of awful, evil men, and one of which will eventually chop John the Baptist's head off, and that's the introduction, the thing that marks his ministry. He enters the scene in the midst of that. But there is an encouragement in that, right? And the encouragement is John's message in the midst of the corruption and the problems is still the same. Our call is to call people to repentance in the one true and living God, to trust Christ above all else. Be faithful in that, Pastor. We don't know what's going to happen in D.C. in the years to come. We probably know the track. We've seen our, parental countries, some of them that, our ancestors came from, the way they have gone progressively more liberal and away from the Bible and Christian influence. But our call remains the same. It's the Great Commission. Who are we reaching? How are we spurring them along to be faithful and reaching out to those who don't know Christ yet? And how do we help them to love one another in a time like this? I think we're going to, as pastors, have to deal and wrestle with a lot of these issues and help our flocks to remain calm and remain focused on the main thing, right? First church I ever was on staff at, and he said, remember, keep the main thing the main thing. And the main things for us as pastors is the Great Commission and the Great Commandments. Hope this was helpful for you guys today. I'm available for any time for help or consultation or just a phone call. Give me a call when you can. Be looking for details on our learning cohort, revitalization learning cohort coming here to Avery County here the third Thursday. We hope to have it. So I look forward to being with you guys. Location is to be announced. So just keep a look on your emails and hope you have a great day.